Welcome back to another episode of Nanny Tales, when people DM me their nanny stories and I tell them on their behalf. This one is a little different. A woman DM'd me and said, I seen your postpartum experience, the supernatural one, and I wanted to tell my story, but I don't want to tell it. Can you tell it for me? I said, send it over. Let's see what I can do. So she said, I was 2 days postpartum, and she said she don't live in the USA, and she don't want to disclose what country she live in, but she just knows she don't live in the USA. And I don't pride people to tell me stuff they don't want me to know. So she does not live in the USA. She said where she lives, though, in her country, you go and you have the baby in a room, like a private room, like you would in America. Once you deliver the baby, then you go into like a dormitory vibe, where it's like a whole bunch of babies and moms and a bunch of nurses, and they're just attending to everybody in like one big area, versus like a whole bunch of rooms, how it would be in America. So she says she's 2 days postpartum, and she's wrapping up the night. She just breastfed the baby, getting the baby down. She's like, okay, give me like 2 hours of sleep before I have to get up to feed the baby again. She said she normally, because she's, exhausted, falls into a deep sleep real fast. So she said she go into the sleep and she instantly starts dreaming. So as she's laying down and dreaming, she opened her eyes in the dream, and she's in the dormitory that she's currently in. So she's looking around. She's like, what the hell? And her baby is in the bassinet. She's looking down the row. All the people that was on the row when she went to sleep is on the row in her dream. She said, but all of a sudden she looked down the row and she see a nurse in all white. And some of the nurses, she said, at the clinic did have on white. But this nurse had on like a white gown type situation. And like the little hat like a pilgrim. And so had on the little hat like a pilgrim that tied under the chin. And she's like the nurse in white, she couldn't really see her from all the way down on the other end. Like I said, it's like 27 beds in one row or something like that, she said. But she said the nurse is kind of just looking over to see like if the mom is asleep. And then she'll go and she'll touch the baby's face. She had on some white gloves. So she's like, she couldn't really see if the nurse was white, black, whatever. She couldn't see. So she's like, she's just looking. The nurse look over and touch the baby's face and touch the baby's arm, touch the baby's leg, and then move on to the next one. But then look back at the one she just came from, look forward at where she's going, and then do the same thing. So she kept doing it. Looking over, touching the baby, look back, look up, move on. Look, So she's laying like on her side so she can see, but she's like, what the hell? Like, why is she looking, like what the fuck is going on? So she's like, she just keep doing this. At this point, she's like at bed 17. And she's looking down and she's looking. And she said at bed 17, so if it's 27 beds, that means there's only 10 beds away from her, right? So she said when she looking over at the bed 17, mama and baby, she touched the baby, but then she said she touched the baby like this and then stopped and looked over and seen that bed 27 was awake. So she said she just floated down there. Now, this is a dream. This is what's happening in her dream. Floats down there to her, she said. Like, she didn't hear her taking no steps. She didn't hear her running, nothing. Just straight down to her. She said she's just looking at the mom. And she's like, at that point, the mom saying she faking like she's asleep or whatever. But, like, the woman just looking at her to the point that it made her, like, open her eyes and, like, stare back at her. The white glove, she said, the woman's face is completely pale. Like, no color at all to the woman. Her hand was in a white glove. But when she got down there to see that mom was awake, she said her hand breaks out of the glove to become like a big, strong man hand. Scoops her baby up out the crib with one hand, and she's just looking at the mom like this. She said the mom like, I'm paralyzed because I'm trying to get my baby, like get my baby. She's like, I can't even say that. I can't say give me my baby. I can't move. I can't do nothing. I'm just looking at this woman looking at me. And I'm like, dang, you didn't say I plead the blood of Jesus or nothing, but whatever. But like, so the ghost nurse just holding the baby, looking at the mom. So finally the mom says she breaks eye contact, and the mom feels like a release, like, okay, but the ghost lady still got the baby in her hand. So she said the ghost lady kind of turned around, and start walking very ghost-like past the bed to go to the door to take that damn baby. So she said when she released eye contact with her, she like feels some motion come back in her body. So she's like, naturally, I'm finna get up and run and go get my damn baby. She said she go to try to put her feet on the floor. Her feet feel like cinder blocks. Like she can barely move her feet out the bed to like get out to chase the woman who's walking very ghostly, like slow, right? So she forced herself out the bed. She's crawling, like army crawling, like pulling her feet, but like using her arm strength to try to catch the ghost. So she said as she's about to touch the ghost to like try to grab her to get the baby, she wake up from the dream. She said instantly, she breathing hard, she's sweating. She looks over at the crib and her baby is gone. She looks the other way and there is a nurse in white pants that had just walked away from her bed. She goes and she runs, she, pulls the nurse. The nurse turned around. She said, kind of almost looking like the woman in the eyes, looking like the ghost woman from Dream. She said, hey, what the fuck you got my baby? First she pulled her to see, like, do you have my baby? Because you happen to be walking past the bed as I'm waking up from a ghost woman taking my baby. She, boom, turn around. The woman in the real nurse with pants on does have her baby. And she said she's looking at her the same way as the ghost. And she said, what the fuck is you doing? Like, why do you have my baby? Give my baby. She said the nurse wasn't holding the baby to keep it. The nurse wasn't holding the baby to give it away either. She was just like looking at her holding the baby. She's like, we're going to take the baby for a routine check. She's like, at this point, it's like 3:30 in the morning. She's like, no, like, give me my baby. You ain't taking my baby nowhere. And the woman, she said, the nurse woman just looked at her and just walked away. She's like, at this point, it's like 6:30 a.m., 7 o'clock in the morning. The real nurses come. So she like, it was a nurse here last night wearing white that came like 3:30 and took my baby, talking about a routine check. But, I had a crazy dream that, I don't think it's associated with the dream or anything, but I don't understand why they wouldn't wake me up to tell me that they were coming to take my baby. And she said the doctors and stuff that was in it, they said, no, nobody in white would be on, on the chart or on the schedule at 3:30 because all the people in white is the people training. And they only come midday. They're like, yeah, no one in white should be in the dormitory because they need God. Like, they can't be here without the presence of like a, supervisor or somebody watching them in like a different color, what's the shit called? Scrubs or whatever. And she was like, no, it was a woman. She was here, grabbed my baby, was about to walk towards the door. They was like, yeah, then of course tried to make her feel crazy. She said like, postpartum, you can have very scary dreams. You do dream about people taking your baby and all those things. But as long as baby, she was like, no, I woke up from the dream and the lady was walking with my baby away. There was like, explain the lady, like, what did she look like? What was her hair color? She said she was explaining, and they like asking different nurses, like, dude, they was like, no. The nurse said, do you want me to look at the camera to see what nurse? And she was like, yes, I would like to look at the camera. Richard, okay. They said at 3:30, nobody was in that dormitory. It was her standing with the baby in her hands, talking, but the baby was in her hands the whole time. She said that happened. And I think it was something in that dormitory. And I think that dream was God warning her that something indeed bad was going to happen to her baby. But that was a scary situation. Yeah.